I did make it down to the new farmer's market today.
Oh, nice.
Oh, cool. Was it busy?
It was surprisingly busy for 4:02 p.m. And it's a little more dispersed because of the parklets.
Oh,
Yeah, but
So-
that could make it kind of interesting.
Yeah, it kind of breaks it up. I know that we have a new, we call it like management company doing it. Most of the same people, the same vendors are still there.
oh, well,
Do you
nice.
think there is an opportunity for us to do something from an Arts Commission standpoint?
There was a section that normally by Arun that normally has vendors, and there were no vendors there. I suspect that it's just early in the season. Maybe we can sneak in there.
Yeah, well, let's see. I think we have got a quorum at this point. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out of 6. Donna, are we set to go? With 5 out of 6?
Yes, Casey, can you please do a roll call vote, please? Roll
I
call.
can.
Thank you.
Chair Ellickson,
Here.
Vice Chair Waldman,
Here,
Commissioner Strzok, Commissioner Reaney,
Here?
Commissioner King,
Here.
and Commissioner Hareen.
Here.
Okay, we are set to go. This is the Thursday, May 16th, 2021 meeting of the Los Altos Public Arts Commission. Thank you, commissioners, for joining, and thank you, staff, for joining. We have a lot of staff tonight, and thank you, dog, for joining. Okay, we do have a quorum. Is there anyone here that we are not seeing from the public who would like to make comments for items that are not on the agenda?
At this time, there are no hands raised, and I do not have any previous requests for public speaking.
Thank you, Casey. Let's move to our minutes from the last 3 meetings. First, though, I do want to apologize to the commissioners. I know it was an abrupt cancellation of the meeting 2 weeks ago, and I am sorry that we're having to do the 2 meetings in May, and just a glitch. So apologies. Moving to the minutes, we have meeting minutes for February 25th, March 25th, and then the special meeting that we had in April, on April 14th. Hopefully everyone has had a chance to review those meeting minutes. If there are any questions, problems, comments, misrepresentations that you are seeing from the minutes, would you please let us know before we approve them? Commissioners?
I'm good.
Hillary, take yourself off mute.
I'm good.
And David, it looks like he's good too. And I'm good with the minutes the way they stand. And thank you, Casey, because I know you spent a whole ton of time and I know it's an ugly job. So thank you very much. We appreciate your putting everything together. Are there any comments on the meetings before we move on?
You mean the minutes?
Or I'm sorry, the minutes before we move on. Thanks, Donna.
I just want, Casey, do you want to do them individually, or can they, if they all unanimously approve the minutes, all 3 of them at once, we can move
We
on?
can do it whatever way you want. Can I get an approval on the minutes, please, for February, March, and special meeting in April? Please raise your hand and say.
Donna, pardon me, I'm going to interrupt. Donna.
Councilmember Enander, go ahead.
I believe the city attorney would want individual motions for each set of minutes.
Okay. So can I get a motion on approval of the meeting minutes from February 25th, 2021?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from February.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor, hand or voice?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, on to the meeting minutes of March 25th, 2021. Could I get a motion to approve those minutes as written?
I make a motion to approve the minutes March 25th as written.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Great. All in favor, aye or hand? Aye. Meeting minutes for the special meeting, April 14th, 2021. And could I get a motion for approval?
Oh, I'll make a
Motion
motion.
for approval.
Thank you. Can I get a second?
Second.
I'll second. I'll
Great.
third it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we have city attorney and city staff satisfied with meeting a minute approval. Onward.
And can I second Chair Ellickson's comment that, Casey, thank you so much for listening to the recordings and recording the minutes for us.
You're
Yes.
welcome, of course.
Yes, universal acclaim. Thank you again. Okay. Minutes out of the way. We talked in our special meeting on April 14th about budget and about budget recommendations. We came up with a list of things that we all thought we wanted to do. And I thought it would be useful. And Donna reminded me that there is now a process for submitting budget to council. It's not like we used to do in the past. And so perhaps Donna or Casey or William, you could discuss that process so that we can get a better framework as we go forward with the items that we want and as we put prices to the items that we want.
Sure. In speaking to Jamie, she did confirm with John Maginot, who's now intermittently covering the finance and admin services duty, that you will receive the $10,000 that the commission normally receives every year. And then related to the budget proposals, they will be submitted and considered based on the recommendations from the commission.
Could we get whoever has the dog barking? Thank you for putting yourself on mute. Appreciate it. I'm sorry, Donna, you were interrupted.
No problem, no problem. With your information tonight, it will be forwarded to the finance department.
Okay.
It'll go to John and also the finance.
So there's no
Okay.
formal process for us to fill out forms, or it's more that our liaisons then send it off to the finance commission? Okay.
That is correct.
Okay, what I sent was, I think I sent an Excel spreadsheet. And not just my slide, but Casey, I sent an Excel spreadsheet, I think, and I saw that it was just my slide with notes. Were we able to get the Excel spreadsheet in or no?
Let me see if I can find that.
Okay.
Maybe perhaps Donna.
Are you speaking of this one?
No, I did an Excel, that one. That is
Yes.
exactly the one.
Okay,
And if you could make it a little larger for my tired eyes, I would appreciate it.
of course. Let me know if this big enough.
Perfect,
Okay.
perfect. Okay, so hopefully everyone had a chance to review this before the meeting. Were there any changes or updates that, or comments that anyone had before we go through this? I think what we maybe want to do is figure out with staff's guidance the best way to present this, because it's a little bit of a dog's breakfast.
Can I ask a question about the first one, musical gamble? Because there's in the note section, it says staff is currently checking on our question about a city asset. Does the cost of fixing it come out of our budget, or does it come out of the city's budget, city's other budget?
To give you, since Donna, you weren't at our meeting last time, let me give you a little bit of background. Art typically donated to the city, and that piece was donated to the city, is considered a city asset. And I don't mean to be discount the art or anything, but it's like a police car or a city car or a city building. So it's something that is the city's responsibility to maintain. And we have gone out, the piece of art in question, Musical Gamble, was donated to the city by Bob Grimm, who was the founder of the History Museum and many other things, the Electrical Parade. And alongside of Walter Singer, he was kind of Mr. Los Altos as well. And we did have someone come, we had city staff take a stab at repairing this piece. And the job wasn't really what the piece needed. We had a professional restorer that I tracked down who happened to be local, which was great. And he came in, gave an estimate. John and David talked with him. And the estimate was $35,000. We're contending that that is something, because it is a city asset, that the city should fund that outside of any money coming to the Arts Commission. Commissioners, am I relaying that accurately? Are those head nods?
Yes. I think
Yes, that's a head nod.
So, Donna, that is what we asked. In fact, William, you were going to go and find out that information. Did you have a chance to do that?
Yes, so it needs to be included within your budget and marked as refurbishment for that piece. But you would include
No, it
in the
is a
budget.
city asset.
Correct.
Can you tell me why?
The notes that the staff will provide will explain what you guys discussed at your last meeting. It's all in one group, whether it's a city asset or a new project. So, but it will be submitted as one group.
Okay.
explain.
I'm a little confused. When you, Don, when you say it's one group, are you referring to our budget in general, or how are you referring to that as?
Your recommendations to seek funding will be in one request.
Okay.
And it'll be important for staff to differentiate the music gamble because it's an asset that we already have as opposed to a new project that you want to acquire.
And will staff be doing that?
Yes,
Okay.
But then it's up to them to decide.
yes. Not everything, as you know, not everything you request will be approved.
Oh, no, I know that. I
Yeah.
meant decide on who's, I mean, $35,000 is 3.5 times what we have.
Exactly. So
So-
it'll be, ultimately it'll be council decision. And that's why it's important when we go through this that you prioritize, your requests as well.
So can I just ask a backup question? I mean, going back a few minutes ago, are you saying that our request, rather than going directly to City Council, they're now going to the Finance Commission and then to City Council? No.
Not to the commission. It will go to John Maginot and our current finance representative because
Finance staff.
not
Okay.
to the commission.
Okay,
Sorry.
okay, great, thanks.
And if you could be patient with me, this is a PDF. I'm going to switch it out to an edited version so that we can type notes as we go because it'll help Casey with her minutes as well. So I'll stop sharing for a moment while you continue to talk.
Sure. So is there, I know you said we would rank and stack everything. Is there a way to separate stuff that is like the next thing, the next high price thing on the budget is the Community Center Phase 2 North Lobby. That's something that clearly the Arts Commission cannot pay for. And it is money that should have probably been included in the community center budget, and it wasn't.
So you're requesting if it would come from another source of funding?
Yeah,
That's up, yeah, that's up to council. So
okay.
my recommendation is to put in order all those items by priority to be submitted to the council with the notes that we're discussing tonight. And then they can decide which will be funded and which won't be funded.
Would it be helpful for us to have well, I guess let me ask the first question. So, sorry. When is the budget going to be figured out? End of June?
That's when it should be approved
Okay.
by. So the first study session is going to be May 18th, I believe. Let me look. It's fairly quick turnaround. I think we're going to be finalizing it next week.
Finalizing the budget or finalizing the meeting?
Finalizing, getting the first review packet of the budget together. Does that make sense? Because
Okay,
it's
so on the 18th.
so the budget study session is at 5 o'clock on May 18th.
Casey,
At the budget study session, can members of our commission come and ask questions, or is it just for city council to discuss amongst themselves?
Yes, the public may attend.
Okay.
And
Casey, could you scroll down a little bit, please?
can I make just an organizational comment on our list?
Mhm.
So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the 7th box where it says community art events. And then several down from that, we have Scavenger Hunt.
Mhm.
Scavenger Hunt doesn't need to be its own box. It should, in my opinion, should be in the community art events.
Yeah, it should be.
If I could make a note on the far left, our numbers. So as you reference the different lines, you can refer to the number. It will help everyone.
Okay.
Okay, if we were to rank and stack everything, and I think here's where you need to make it small unless everybody can see the whole list. Because we're not going to be able to see the whole list. Ooh, yikes. Okay.
I was gonna say, you tell me how you want me to present it and I will do that. I just don't want to make it so small that you can't read it.
I think that this is probably going to be, that includes everything. No, it still doesn't. Oh, yikes. Is there a way you can, I don't think there is.
AC, there's a way you can scrunch the top portion of the Excel by pressing that far right arrow at the top under comments, and it might broaden it.
There's a little arrow in a file
Right here.
folder.
Yeah. There you go.
That's
Helps.
better. Okay, so we're looking at items 3, line 3 through line 17. If we group the History Museum pieces in line 17 with line 4 and give those two items, oh, and line 5, and give those 3 items the title Community Center. Can you drag and drop?
I don't completely agree with that, because I think those 2 other high up murals that Morgan proposed that we don't have the funds for, I think they should come behind the photos from the History Museum and the Hanging Center, the Hanging System, sorry, which are quite reasonable, $2,000 and $3,000 a piece versus $35,000.
That's fine. I wasn't ranking them actually. I was just putting them, grouping them. So let's just for clarity's sake, let's do it the way that Paula wants, which is put the photos or maps line 17, the hanging system line 5, and so 17, 5, and 4 in that order and give them a subtitle, community center. Is that, Paula, what?
Yeah, that's fine. I feel like the two smaller items are like things that we'd like to get going on right away. And the other one is a wish list. I mean, Monica and Hillary, you can weigh in as subcommittee if you agree.
I agree that with Paula that the two less expensive items, the non-mural, would be good to have at opening or close to opening. And the mural is a nice to have, but probably further down the pipeline.
I'd also say the hanging system, I might retitle that as hanging system to create community art exhibit corner or something, because we can't have
Okay.
an exhibition space there without a hanging system.
Good point.
So maybe it would be, you know, local exhibition hanging system.
Good idea. You know, the other thing that needs to be included in that group for community center would be the recorded docent tour.
Right. Mhm.
Yeah.
And I suspect, since that would be Linda's time,
Number 7.
that there would be a cost to it.
Mhm.
Okay, so we've got, again, if we could put the community center phase 2 north lobby acoustic panels at the bottom of that group. So just insert a line after docent tour. Thank you. Do we have everything included for the community center in that grouping?
I think so.
Now, we're budgeting for 2 years out, correct?
Yes,
Okay.
that was the understanding. Donna, is that accurate?
That is accurate. Thank you.
Okay.
What would, once you prioritize, it might help if you know the different year you want it in too, year 1 and
Okay.
year 2.
Good idea.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, good idea.
So I think in item 5, that would be year 1. Item 6, the hanging things would be year 1. And the docent tour would be year 1. And then the new art panels, maybe year 2. What do you think, guys?
Yes.
I
I would agree.
completely agree.
Agree.
Just a point of clarification, those panels that we're talking about, is that big central space called the North Lobby? Because that's like the current murals that we've commissioned. There's one in the North Lobby and one in the South Lobby, right?
Yeah, they came up, remember they kind of went up around.
Yeah, we're talking about the higher one.
The real high ones. I
Yeah.
just want to clarify that we're not confusing, like if we already have a mural that's going to be in the North Lobby, maybe I'm confused on what the spaces are called.
Yeah, maybe, yeah, that's a good point, Paula.
No, maybe I'm confused. I went from the blueprint and I am highly dyslexic when it comes to blueprints, so I may have been confused. But there are the 2 other pieces. I copied the text from the estimate that I think Paula you sent, or somebody sent to me.
For
The
Morgan.
current one is on the wall, and these are on the acoustic panels, which are like
Yeah.
not hanging, but
Way up high
way up high.
by the ceiling. Yeah.
But yeah, that might be helpful to differentiate. You're right, but it does say acoustic
It
panels.
does. Yeah. So maybe that.
You just take out community mural face mural on acoustics panels. I don't know if that helps clarify it.
I think the acoustic helps.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I can use-
Okay,
Catch those
so that is that group,
And
right?
can I play devil's advocate that I definitely think we should obviously push it to year 2. Let's say hopefully the murals are going to be well received, but in case they aren't and we decide to put something else, push it off to year 2. I don't even want to suggest that. Strike that from the record.
Well, no, we said year 2 on those acoustic murals. Okay, so are we good on all the work planned for community center? Is there
The only-
anything?
the only thing- The only thing I would say, the photos or maps, I don't feel like that's as a top priority as some of the other things. So in box number 4, photo or maps from History Museum, Community Center, I mean, that'd be a great thing to do, but it's not my burning priority. I could push that to year 2, but I don't
Actually,
know.
I couldn't.
No, really? You want that?
No, well, and I'm only one vote, but the reason I couldn't is because, as we all would like, all the groups in Los Altos that have worked incredibly hard to make the community center just really wonderful. Staff, volunteers, commissions, city council, everyone has worked with the same goal in mind. And I hate to see it half finished. I would love to see it, I'm fine if it's 3/4 finished, knowing that we'll have other things that will evolve. But my sense is let's try and get some of the walls covered with interesting.
Okay.
But again, if is that something we want to discuss and vote on? Because again, I am one voice.
Can I give a shout out that the hanging system maybe should be higher priority?
Yeah,
that
that's, I think it's like, if you could just put it down, because I think the hanging system,
Okay.
and the Docent Tour, I think it is good to have the photo or maps, but I think in my vision, they're going to look at this and as Donna has said, we got to stack the priorities. So I think we could just move it down a little bit and we hopefully still get it, but the hanging, we can't have like local community art without a hanging system. We want to have the Docent Tour. I think is also important. So
Me too. I think that's really important. We're going to miss a big opportunity if we don't.
Okay.
I think if we could just move it down even below like the Docent Tour, maybe that would be,
So-
to me, that makes better sense.
Just to clarify, that's to move the photo or maps portion down below line 5 or line 6, which is the
Down
docent.
below, I think. Yes.
Yes.
Can we still keep it in year 1?
Yeah, that's fine with me.
Okay.
I do just want to be mindful of, like Donna has said, we need to stack the priorities and really have them tight so we can, that makes seem to be a better chance of getting what we would like. So
That's why I'm thinking pulling everything together for each group
yeah, that's a good idea.
will help. That's helped me in the past sell budgets
Yeah.
and, making stuff kind of consistent and grouped. So musical gamble refurbishment, are we good on grouping all the community center stuff? Is everyone happy with the order and with the titling and everything?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's move up to musical gamble since it's line number 3. I really think that this is something that we should make a priority for this first year, primarily because there could be more damage done to the piece if we wait for 2 years. It's in a sprinkler zone. David, I know that you have comments on this and you're probably on mute making them now, but
I agree, except that if there's no money, what do you do?
do we agree that this would be, oops, I'm going to ask a leading question here. Let me step back a minute. What does the group think about making this a year 1 or a year 2 priority?
If we think there might be a chance that things start getting better in a year, and maybe that eventually we'll get some 1% funding and that we can borrow against it, maybe it should be a year 2.
I think we should prioritize taking care of things we already own above acquiring new art, even though it pains me to say that in some ways, but I think it's hard to ask for $35,000 or whatever it is, yeah, for Morgan's other murals when that money could be used to repair something we already own. I think that's bad housekeeping.
I agree.
agree. It's tricky, but it's a lot of money.
Mhm.
You know, that's why we've been trying to put it, it's more money than we generally get from a budget standpoint. That's why we tried to put it in the city asset, frame it as a city asset, which it actually is.
I'd like to point out that, so right now we've got musical gamble in that status. There will be more. If we wait, there will be more.
Yeah, I was gonna bring up after I asked Donna about it, that anytime we have a donation, we have to think about maintenance.
Right. Oh, maintenance and installation.
Yeah.
Do we want musical gamble to be at the top of the list though, versus the community center?
Community center should be at the, I put musical gamble up there because that was the first topic that came
Yeah.
up. So it can be moved further down. I agree with what Paula said. I think it should be a year one, even if it's late in year one, a year one expense.
Sarah Ellickson, do you have a suggestion on where you would like it moved to?
Let's highlight it for now.
Okay.
And then we can go back and figure out where we want it to move to.
And I wanted to note that I will reformat this. I know that you made these beautiful columns and I'm just doodling all over them, but
It's fine. I have no pride in authorship, don't worry. So to determine whether we want to make this a year one or a year two priority, my thinking is it is something that as a group we should vote on. Would anyone like to make a motion?
Should we let David do it?
Oh, David, were you trying to speak?
You said a motion. I motion. Let's vote on it.
Okay, we would need a second.
Second.
Okay, how many, let's start with just a year one priority. Hand or voice, whatever. Monica, I know we can't see you. So Ellickson is a year one priority. It looks like Commissioner King is a year one priority. Monica, I have no idea.
I am swayed by what Paula said. I think we need to take care of our what we own. So yes, a year one.
Okay, David, and who am I not?
Me, I'm year one.
And Paula. Great. Okay.
Isn't Ginny here on the call too?
You can see
Jenny,
me.
are you here? Oh, you are here. Hi.
Yeah.
You were late.
Well, I couldn't get in.
Ah,
I had to go through all these machinations. Can I just ask a question?
sure.
I'm just curious about why we are spending so much more than the piece is worth to refurbish it.
Much-
We actually had somebody come in and do evaluation on the piece and an estimate on the refurbishment.
What was the valuation of the piece?
I don't have the documentation in front of me. David, do you by chance remember?
I really don't. Gee, have we actually had it evaluated that way? That's a good question.
I thought that when Jonathan came, he did feel that it was a piece that was worth repairing.
For that
Yes.
amount of money?
Oh, yeah. It wouldn't be worth doing, and I mean refurbishing, if it was not worth that. I think it's a good question, but I believe we've seen that it was more estimated.
Well, I would really be interested in seeing the valuation because that seems like an awful lot of money to me.
For restoration, no, I don't think so. But good question.
So did you want to vote on it in year one or year two, Jenny?
I'm going to abstain.
All right. So at this point, I think it's 4 or five, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5
It's
commissioners
5.
are voting for year 1 expense. Okay, moving down to line 8, which is the creation of a Los Altos Arts Council. And this is something that's further on our agenda, the discussion of this topic. Perhaps what we could do,
Can I ask a question about that?
mhm.
Do we need a budget item for this, or do we? It doesn't seem like. I mean, if we
needed a small amount, like $500, social media, we talked about social media, we talked about maybe a
Right.
couple of ads. So it's not going to be a huge budget.
Yeah, I just think that if we could, I would put a lower cost on there instead of cost DVD. I would put like 100 or something, and just, you know, maybe take out. I would just make that try to seem lower budget. I think it would, you know, instead of presenting as something, it's the way it's written sounds a little bit more expensive than it has to be, and I think it doesn't. You know, we could do a lot of this on Zoom, so.
Okay, if we have to pay room rental to do a meeting.
Do we need to do that?
Well, if we did it in the orchard room at the library, I think we could do it for free.
We can't do it on Zoom or Ring Central.
At this point, yes, we would have to, wouldn't we?
Yeah.
So,
And we can, you know, so that's, you know. So
okay.
Plus,
Just put $100 there, and if we need to figure something else out, maybe we can find it somewhere else.
yeah, it just seems like the more stuff we can offer at a lower rate too, the better chance
Sure.
we have of. And I feel like I mean, if this doesn't get approved, can we not do it, or do we, you know?
We'll
do we
figure
just
out
not budget?
we'll figure out an even cheaper way than $100.
We just don't even, yeah, have it, because I do feel like that's something that needs to be done. Yeah.
So, William, you were going to check on the sculptures that are termed out, which is our next item, item number 9.
Yes, and I still do not have well open for that item. I'm still waiting to hear that.
John has it right at his fingertips. And it's
As soon as
all,
I get it from him, I will share it with the commission.
okay. I think from a guess, I think that it's 5 new pieces. I know that the dancing birds and the shoot,
Mother Hen and yeah, the
Midnight Stomp.
Midnight Stomp. Thank you.
And I think there are 2 other spots that need art where the art went back and we've never filled them. Maybe 3.
we have 2 open spots that have never had art from when First Street was redone and they put pads in place.
Right.
So those are always open for art.
So we agreed that what we would do is we were offering a $5,000 stipend per loan piece. And we agreed that that probably wasn't as successful as we had hoped it would be in getting higher quality pieces. So we lowered that stipend down to $1,500 a piece. And $1,500 with 5 pieces is $7,500. That would be over 2 years. So if we split that amount in half, or kind of, and did maybe $4,500 for year 1, and the remaining amount for year 2. The $4,500 would fill in, let's see, is that right? Yeah, $4,500 would fill in the pieces that are going to be leaving us. The Pokey Park set of 3, the
Mother Hen.
Mother Hen, thank you, who I still think is badly placed. I don't think you should have the hen's butt facing everybody, but you know. What do you think?
Did we give the artist 3 stipends for the 3 birds of Midnight Stomp?
No, 1.
Okay. So that's 2 places. I mean, 2 stipends. Hers and the hen, right?
And I think there is one other piece that's expiring.
There
What's
must
the piece that's next to Olympic Wannabes, the colorful piece?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, the Kinetic Sculpture.
Yeah, that's probably hit the 2-year mark, if not surpassed it.
I mean, yeah, there's probably way more than that because we haven't even been meeting for over a year. And that's half the life of, you know, a typical sculpture. So,
And then to give William and others some background, generally we don't go to the artist and say the 2 years is up, come get your artwork. We kind of wait for them to say, hey, I'm coming to get it.
Although we did with the dirigible bird.
Yeah, that one was a little controversial. So, but generally we try to ignorance is bliss sort of it and wait for the artist to ask for it.
And Pokey Park, I thought had contacted John. I could be wrong on that.
I don't remember. The mother hen artist contacted him, right?
I contacted Pokey Park, actually.
And did she say she wanted her art back?
She wasn't willing to donate it to the city, but she also wasn't willing to come and get it. She
Oh,
was
and
thinking that we would
let's not,
find another way to pay for it.
let's just
Where-
leave it until she wants it then.
Where does she live? What state?
Well, she goes back and forth between the Southwest and Michigan or someplace on the East Coast. So she was currently, when I talked to her, which was about 6 months ago, maybe longer, on the East Coast. And she said it was inordinately expensive to come and pick those things up. So.
Okay. So, but let me also make a comment that I think commissioners should not, I think you interviewed her for a piece
That was
on
all it
Times
was.
Square.
And John and I had a meeting with her,
Okay,
with
yeah.
her business manager about donating the piece to the city.
Okay, yeah, we should always have city staff as part of the conversation.
Yeah,
when we're
John organized it, orchestrated it, and ran it.
Okay.
So I think at this point, unless she, if everyone is comfortable with this, unless she contacts us, just let it stay the way it is.
I'm more than happy. I like the piece.
I do too. I do too. But I still think we need to plan just in case.
Agreed.
So, perhaps putting the 3,000 in year 1 and the 4,500 in year 2. And if worst case, we can see if she comes to us and says, I need to have it right away, I need to have it this year, we can maybe talk her into extending it a little bit and into next year. What do you all think?
That's fine.
Well, having spoken to her, I don't think there's any way she's coming to us. So
Okay.
I think we're pretty
Yeah.
safe.
Good to know. Thanks, Ginny. Okay. So are you all comfortable with splitting it that way?
Yes.
Yes.
Can I just ask, are we all comfortable with the 1,500? Because we had lots of long conversations about raising it from 1,000. I don't know, Monica, as a practicing professional artist, what's your opinion?
I mean, more money is always better, and we all know that the artists all have to lug their pieces here, lug them back, help with the installation, and insure.
Right.
I think as a group, we have to think about, and this is maybe something for people who've been here longer, the quality of work that we were seeing at the $1,000 stipend versus the $5,000 stipend.
So do you think there was a noticeable increase in the quality of work or not? No.
No. No.
Paula and Monica, do you think there was?
I think a smidgen better. I don't think it was
Yeah.
5 times better.
Right,
I'd
right.
like to know, how much did she get for Midnight Stomp? Was that just 1,500?
I think that may have only been 1,000.
I think that was 1,000.
Yeah, I know. Wow.
And this is not the, this is not the purchase price. It's basically kind of borrowing it. you know.
Well, and the thing is, if you remember when we did the art search, when we had the 5,000 stipend,
A
we
lot of
were
them are
looking at many pieces that were given, you know, that they submitted,
Mhm.
and the cost of the piece was only 5,000.
Right. Or less.
And I kind of, and you know, the one that we got for city, the community center, that piece that we have on loan,
Mhm.
the total purchase price was only 5,000. And he got a $5,000 stipend and he gets the piece back. And I kind of struggle with that when, you know, and I kind of, my feeling has been, and Paula, I know you may remember these conversations when we talked about the city paying the insurance on the piece.
Right. Yeah.
And that to me was just extraordinary, that you would ask somebody to haul a piece,
Yeah.
have it installed, and sometimes professionally, sometimes they had to stay overnight and have hotel fees,
Yeah.
and they got $1,000.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of amazing that we've gotten the pieces that we have gotten.
And keep in mind, it's resume filler for a lot of these artists. You know, the more they can put on their resume, the better.
So, but Nancy, you're more that sounds like you want to advocate towards 5,000, but you also didn't feel like we got the increase in artwork.
No, we were not getting Picassos for $5,000. Not that we, but Monica, what are you seeing out in, when you look at calls for art from other cities, what are you seeing as a stipend in a loan program?
I honestly have been looking at things for myself that aren't loans. They're shows and galleries. So I can't answer the question. I can go back and look and get back to you. But I do have a suggestion. Could we look at maybe for the next year doing 1,500 as a stipend, and as a group, then we can evaluate if we're getting okay stuff or if we're getting stuff that we deem is not great. Maybe year 2 we bump up the stipend.
That's fair. Maybe to 2,000 or 2,500. Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Okay, I think that is something that it would be a change in what we had voted on before. And so it's something that I think we need to vote on. So could I get a motion from one of our commissioners on making the change to the art loan program stipend?
I move to vote for a vote on changing the art loan stipend.
To what?
To 2,000, 2,500. Monica, any thoughts?
I think we should start at 1,500 for the first year and then evaluate it a year from now.
Yeah. Can we put that into vote, or is that votable?
What, the amount? Or
That is allowed, and I just need a second. And so what I have now is to put it at 1,500 and evaluate after a year.
okay.
Second.
And we have a second from David. All in favor, aye or hand? Aye.
Aye.
So it looks like it's unanimous. Was there anyone that voted against that or abstained? Okay. If we take the community art events and bunch them together, would that include we have a lot of stuff that is down here, and just by the way, Casey, I think that, oh, maybe it just went away. Okay,
I am making continuous edits.
I got
and
it. I
The
got it.
very nice thing is that it's recorded. So if I notate something wrong, I will fix it before I send it out to the commission.
Perfect. Thank you so much. The community art events, we said that we would move stuff into that bucket. Would artist in residence, poet laureate, memoir writing class all move into that bucket?
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so under case, and jump in here, commissioners, if I am misspeaking. So under community art events, let's put the Poet Laureate program, the memoir writing class, the Spotlight on Art speaker series, the walking or biking tour of the business district, and the artist in residence program. And by the way, you need to probably delete number 18 because I think it's repeated at the top.
Absolutely. And I will make these category heads come out differently. They will not just be in
It's
red.
not a problem. It's not a problem, don't worry.
And
And because we're recorded, I know you'll be able to get everything. Sorry, Hillary, go ahead.
After she does that, I don't want to, while she's doing that, I would kind of like to look at the costs. I think we could maybe rejigger some of those costs too a little bit.
Sure. So why don't you start and let's figure out what can be rejiggered.
Let's take the Poet Laureate down to 100. Let's give them something cheap to approve. Artist residence at Farmers Market. If we do the plein air at the Farmers Market, what would be the cost involved in that? Where's the 5,000 coming from for the artists and residents Farmers Market? Is that from paying a specific artist, or we want to do plein air, or do we need to figure that out now?
I don't think we need to figure out the details now,
Okay.
but I think we plugged that amount in figuring that we would have rotating artists, but maybe what we do is we cut it in half.
I would cut it in half, yeah.
Okay, or what about, instead of cutting it in half, because I think we said 5 artists during, maybe make it 2 and make it 2,000.
Well, I think we actually, didn't we settle on kind of the plein air artists painting the farmers market, and maybe, and that could be just a group coming. I don't think we need to pay them, do we?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Expenses, driving expenses, art expenses, no?
Well, if they're
We're only paying $1,500 for someone to bring a sculpture to town. I don't know how you justify paying somebody to come set up their easel and paint, you know?
Which they do anyway. It's just we're just giving them a different location and kind of giving them more attention. So, I mean, there's plein air art groups. There's a plein air art group in town or Mountain View. So I think we can, I would put that cheaper, either at like 2,000 or 1,000 maybe.
What about doing just sodas and snacks? And that's what we invite them to come and do sodas and snacks, and maybe make it a total of $500.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
I like having kind of affordable things to put on there, and that balances out the kind of dream items. So,
yeah.
Do we know if it would cost us, being a city entity, do we have to pay to set up at the farmers market? Do we have to pay for booth space?
Or insurance?
That's a good question. I don't think we know yet. So maybe make it like 500 and just, put possible insurance costs or booth space.
Okay. Perfect. Walking or biking business district, that's kind of
community art.
Yeah, and it's kind of free.
Yeah.
The Spotlight on Art speaker series, I think we figured to have, I originally wanted to do like 1 event a quarter, and I think we narrowed that down to 2 events a year, I think was what we thought we could handle.
That's fair.
And so maybe 250 in year 1 and 250 in year 2.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
Poet Laureate and memoir, those would be both like 100. Do you agree?
I think memoir, I mean, you got to pay for the instructor. I don't know if I can get somebody to do it for 100. It might be, I would like to keep it at 250 or 200.
Okay.
Just because you got to pay an instructor.
Donna, you mentioned that the rec center was doing a memoir writing class, I think, or something.
We could do that in conjunction with the rec center.
Yes.
So perhaps that could be something that we partner on.
That'd be awesome. Yeah.
And actually, since Parks and Rec has the budget, we can partner in name only and Parks and Rec can pay for it.
That's not how it works, but you,
I know that, but I thought I'd suggest it.
Donna, could you sign on the dotted line, please?
yeah, sure.
Here's the check.
It's really up to the instructors. Sometimes we find them to volunteer, so we'll work on that.
We like those kinds of instructors.
Yeah, we do.
So if you want to, Casey, if you want to take that down to like 200 or something, you know, that's fine. That memoir writing, in case we do need to pay them, you know.
So, Casey, as you go through this, if you have questions, give me a call.
I can do that.
I might be able to answer them. And poet writing class, okay. So those all should be grouped. Let me just zip down the list here. Community art events would be the Poet Laureate program, memoir writing class, Spotlight on Art series, walking bike tour, and artist in resident farmers market. So that would all be grouped under the title community art event.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
And now to the mural with the Assistance League. We talked to Morgan about that. We had everything approved and then we lost our budget. We have we have kind of confirmed, and I know that the Assistance League has left that space open. Do we want to try and do that year one? Do we want to try and, since Morgan is doing a lot of the community center stuff, perhaps what we could do is have her do one panel and then on year one, and then one panel in year two on that wall.
Can I make a comment on that?
Sure.
Later on, when we can do commission reports, I have a topic I need to talk about that involves Morgan. And I think that maybe we should look, I love Morgan and her work, but I don't think it's good for us to use her exclusively. There's a lot of other mural artists out there. And I think it might start to look like she's the only mural artist we've ever hired or ever had work done. If she's got 2 murals in the community center and maybe 2 more down the road and maybe some other stuff, and then this mural, maybe this is a project that needs to go out to bid to other artists.
Okay.
That's just a thought.
So maybe year two then for.
Yeah, let's, could we do it late in year one? Would you all be open to that?
Yeah, although if we're going to bid it out, I think timeline, it might end up being in year two. But yeah, I think if you want to say late year one, possibly year two, but.
Yeah.
And I'm going to play devil's advocate for year two, because I'm thinking the economy may pick up and we may have a better chance of getting more money out of the city.
Okay, they have, just so you know, they have been holding that space open for us.
Okay.
And do you feel like they want Morgan as the artist for that?
I feel that we agreed that we would be doing something. They agreed to keep the space open for us because they've gotten other offers to do murals there. And I don't think it matters who does it. I think that we came up with a great idea with them that would really underscore our city's commitment to families and children.
Yeah, well, I'm not saying it shouldn't be her. I just.
No, I know. I agree with you. I think that she could very well be branded the Los Altos.
Yeah, and I'm not saying it's the best thing for the Public Arts Commission. Not,
yeah.
Because she also has murals at the schools as well, a number of the schools.
Yeah, you know, there is a guy in Los Gatos, when you're out at Stanford Shopping Center the next time, look at the murals there in the food court area by I guess it's Delorme Sheets. He's done some nice work, and trying to remember if I think I contacted him about something else, but he may be a possibility. And there are others that this group knows.
Well, there's
So-
there's a lot of muralists in the Bay Area for sure.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
maybe that's something that might behoove us to reach out to the broad, diverse community of mural artists, you know.
Yeah.
And that could bring some really interesting art too. So.
Right.
So, year 1 or year 2?
I mean, I think if unless we know someone and we get it moving fast, I would say late year 1 or at least third last, last 4 months of year 1. I just think if we're going to go find someone and if we get the budget approved, it would be at least September or fall before we get it painted, right? So that's.
Yeah, but that's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. Okay. So do we agree year 1 or year 2?
Year 1's fine.
Year 1? Okay.
I'll go with the majority vote.
Okay. And I'm looking at the other ideas that were mentioned in our meeting. Collaboration with the Los Altos History Museum. I think they would love to collaborate on something with us. And we now have our $10,000, it sounds like.
It was easy. We didn't even have to beg.
I know. So, Casey, do you have enough information so that we could, and I'm happy to do this on Excel if you want to send your notes to me, but do we have enough information that we could come up with a year 1 plan and a year 2 plan?
And separate them out into 2 separate sheets?
No, leave them on the same sheet, but group the year 1 by section, like community center.
Okay.
All these things. Let me make sure that that's not going to be a pain for you.
It looks like it should be fine.
Okay.
There are a couple things then that would be repeated in the year 2 section.
Yeah.
Okay. Then
I think it wouldn't be repeated. I think pull the ones out. I think you have your same headers in some places, like community center in year 1, community center in year 2. These are the things in year 1 we want to do. These are the things in year 2 we want to do. Does that make sense?
That does make sense. The problem would be with something like line 9, where you have a portion for year 1 and a portion for year 2. Would you just want that, just put it in both sections?
But part 1 and part 2, or
just the portion. Yep. Okay. Yeah. That's possible.
If you get stuck, call me or email me or text me, and I'm happy to help.
Okay. Absolutely.
Does anyone have anything additional that they want to add? Something that you absolutely hate that you can't believe stayed in? Before we move off this topic.
Well, so I'm not sure when to bring this up, but I do have this opportunity that I need to run by the whole commission, which might cost a little bit of money, but not very much. So do you want me to wait until later?
Is it a community art program?
No, it's to do with the Bears, the Rotary Bears.
Let's see, where can we, would it have to do with budget?
Well, it might cost a little bit, but it's a donation that wants to take place.
Okay.
You want me to just tell you now? I just don't want to do it out of order on the agenda and mess stuff up.
Now, just
go ahead.
Go ahead and we'll add it as a budget thing.
Okay, so Morgan contacted me a couple of weeks ago and she asked me to come see the bear that she has painted for the Rotary show. And her bear sponsor is a friend and neighbor of hers, a woman named Beverly Dale. And the bear, Beverly bought the bear, and she also sponsored Morgan as the artist to paint it. And she's done a phenomenal job, as Morgan always does. It's sort of a multicultural approach with lots of patterns. She met with.
Oh, Paula, you just
Oh,
clicked
we
out.
lost you.
Hold on. Wait a minute. There you go.
Whoops.
She met with who?
She met with Los Altos residents of different ethnic backgrounds and researched designs and patterns and included those in her bear. So it's this multicultural look. It's really cool. She and Beverly, the sponsor, want this bear to be donated to the city. And it's a big one. It's the grizzly that's on 4 legs. So it's what, 8 feet by 5 feet. So that's why she asked me to come see it. And I said, this is awesome. However, we have no money. We can't go to the auction in October and bid on this bear. And even if we did that, we could be outbid by anyone else. So not knowing where to turn with this information, I called John and asked his advice. He got me in contact with Roy Lave, who I presume Roy's the head of Rotary. So we emailed back and forth. He was very enthusiastic and said, oh, I think I can make this work. And then he wrote right back another day or so and said, there's promises that have to be kept. So he's not sure they can actually remove the bear from the auction. So I've communicated that back to Morgan and to Beverly. And it's really Beverly's decision because, well, I'm not sure if it is or not, but she's the person with the money. So I don't know if she knows Carol Dabb personally or well, but she's going to get in touch with Carol Dabb and see what might be able to be worked out. So we have this bear that they would like to donate to the city, but they would also like to have, well, I'm not sure they want a say-so in where it goes. Their choice is that it would be somewhere at the new community center. So
I think that's a great idea.
well, just yesterday, they gave me permission to go ahead and spill the beans because they wanted this to be kind of, not public knowledge initially. They weren't sure where they were going with it. So I would like to know what you all would think of this. I do have photos that I can either share or send of it, but we would have to discuss if we agreed on placement and what kind of cost would be involved in permanently mounting this bear. So
it sounds like we don't know if we could even get it as a donation because it may have to go to bid.
we don't know that yet. That's correct.
And we don't know what and does it need to be, I know that they are fiberglass.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is this something that needs to be decided on tonight?
Oh, no, but I just kind of wanted to get a pulse from the rest of the commissioners on how you felt about this. No, it's not, doesn't have to be decided.
What are we thinking of from a budget standpoint, since we are on the budget topic? Are you thinking of a $500 installation?
Well, see, I don't have any way of knowing. I don't know how you would install an 8-foot by 5-foot fiberglass there. 4 cement pads for its feet. I don't even know.
How are they
Well,
doing?
and I think the thing also is the fact that we kind of got burned with the doors.
Mm-hmm.
And when we put them outside,
Yeah.
$25,000, and it was kind of, it didn't even have, I don't think, a 10-year lifespan.
Well, these are going to be coated at an auto body shop, all of the bears, after they've been painted.
That's right. Thank you for reminding me. You're
Weatherized
right.
for outdoor, permanent outdoor installation.
You're right. You're right. I'd forgotten about the body shop part.
Can I throw in a, maybe piggybacking on the whole budgeting conversation is maybe we need to put a line item for installations of donated items, because perhaps we might get a bear or two donated to the city. And so
Let
maybe we
me
need that.
just cut you off at the pass there, because we have never paid for the installation out of our budget. It's always been out of
Like
city
the general
budget.
fund or something.
Yeah.
And maybe if this bear were to be given to us and if we chose to accept it, maybe that's how this would be handled too. Because you're right, we don't pay for the cement pads or
Right.
So do you want me to send William an email with the photos that he can then send on to the rest of you, and you guys can look at it and sort of think about it, mull it over, and maybe we can discuss it further at the end of May meeting? And by then I might have more information from Rotary, either Roy or Carol or Beverly or all of these different individuals.
That would be great. What would be really interesting to tie down would be if there is outside of installation, because the city has always done that with our art, and I would hate to change that precedent. But would there be a budget? We're talking about budget. Would there be a budget cost to us? And I don't know that we can wait if the budget, the first pass on the budget meeting is in mid-May. Our next commission meeting won't be until the end of May.
Right.
Do we want to put dollars, just earmark dollars in there as a TBD or a special project?
I think it's possible we may get more than one bear donated at the end of all of this. That's what Rotary is hoping will happen, according to Carol Dabb.
Well, they had hoped that we would buy one as well, and nobody was really warm on that idea.
But I think
Well-
I think that's a good point to bring up. We may have to kind of we may need to have a strategy for, you know, how many donations, how many bears can we take as a donations? Yeah.
That we're way off topic on bear donations. That's not on our agenda. Let's focus on, this is an unknown cost. And I think we just don't want to include it until we know a little bit more. And if we have to repurpose money, we will repurpose, you know, we can talk about repurposing.
If
But-
we have to repurpose money, maybe from one of the calls for art or something, we repurpose some of that money.
There you go.
Okay.
A good idea.
Okay. So then we don't really need to include on the budget.
So Chair Ellickson, do you want it down below with other ideas mentioned, or do you want it removed entirely?
Group.
Right now I have it on line 28, which is with the History Museum and the percent funding program.
Please
Can I make a suggestion?
do.
think it probably should be off the budget, but can we have it as an agenda item on for the next meeting?
I think that's a great idea.
I agree with that also.
And can I ask that if Paula finds out from Carol Dabb or from someone else that it's going to go up for regular bidding, if she can give that information to William, and then William can forward that to the rest of us.
That's a perfect solution. Great,
Okay. And I'll send you guys pictures through William.
great. Thank you. Anything more on the budget? Okay, let's move to the Walter Singer bust and the installation. I had hoped that Trevor would join. I had talked to him, and then I guess there were changes in staff agreements, and he didn't. But at this point, there has not been a lot of progress made on this. My suggestion to Trevor was to contact facility services at Stanford Museum and see if he can find out who did the pedestals for the Rodin garden. Thank you, David. I was hoping that I will ask the question that I suggested that Trevor ask you, which is, do you have with your, I know that you've been a longtime member of the museum, do you have any insight or a name or a job title that we could ask for at the museum who could maybe help direct Trevor?
Right. I did talk with Russ Quacchia, who was on the architectural staff at Stanford. He is an architect. Back when those things were put in, and he's retired. He really only could say that go up to the monument makers in South San Francisco around the cemeteries there.
Mhm.
But
That's a good idea.
I do wonder if we're making this too hard. I should probably talk with Trevor or email him. Anybody that makes concrete steps could probably do the job. And we do have a lot of that going on around the city. So I wish I could give you a name. I don't have a name right now.
But isn't it a two-part thing? It's not just the fabrication, but also it has to be able to,
It's finished concrete.
but does it also have to have some kind of attachment points that are appropriate so that the sculpture can sit on top, or no?
It has actually, Monica, from the visit that we made to visit Walter Singer, it has
Okay.
screws that go, I think 4 screws, thank you, David, there they are, that go into it. It needs to have a base and a pedestal, so it's sturdy. It needs to be rebarred. It needs to be high-end finished concrete, not just step concrete. And it needs to have a type of mastic around it to kind of double secure it. David, you want to
I would
add?
be glad to get involved in person with, if we can get somebody to actually do the building. I don't want to take a responsibility that I have a legal obligation to. However, I think that things like the mounting with the
Oh, we just lost you.
You just want to unmute, David. There you go.
I'd be glad to show somebody in city maintenance how to do that, or work with them directly. I mean, I'm an engineer and a designer. I've drilled holes in concrete. My thought is that you drill a couple of holes after the base is made, easy peasy, and then these drop in. And these are stainless steel, by the way. I don't know if you remember when we looked at the nameplates from the last installation, some of them were really rusted out. However, the ones that were used to mount the actual bus were stainless. I did a little checking. And these are they. I mean, these are the replacements now, which I got for a few bucks over at Home Depot. So I'd like to work with somebody personally. If we can find somebody, buddy. I was going to say one other thing is that if go over to take a look at Schlamann there in Lincoln Park, it's got a base that's pretty much like this. Unfortunately, I think that company that built it went out of business.
Donna, you had your hand raised. Comment?
Chair Alexion, I have Trevor's status, if you would like me to share it. And also, yes, MSC has a lot of experience in doing the bases for many of the sculptures we currently have in the city. So they could easily work with David. And so,
But I think that, let me just interrupt.
Sure.
I think this is a different ask. It's not just the
right,
concrete bases. This is finished concrete. It may be colored.
correct.
And it takes a mold. You actually,
Yeah.
Whereas the bases that we have, like for Dancing Men, it's a simple job, really,
Right.
to make that a flat base. This is a raised monument here.
Right.
I'm generally familiar with how you do it. You take a wooden form, and
Right.
it's rather crude, but somebody who knows what they're doing has to do it.
Right. It all depends on staff workload and skill set that we have currently. So we can definitely connect you.
I talked to Manny Hernandez,
Yeah.
and he said no.
Well, there you have it.
And so with all the other stuff that they have on their plates,
Right. Workload.
no. And so that's why we have gone out. And I kind of have a strong belief that if you don't measure it, it doesn't get done. And so my feeling is, let's put a stake in the ground, July 1, And by the way, we've moved it. We're not going to move it. It'll be July 1. We want to have it in and we want to do a dedication. It's gone on now for really 2 years. And
Well, actually, it was taken down, I think about 6 years ago, wasn't it?
okay. We need to get it done. We need to get it off of our commission's plate and get it done and have it done well. So, in the place that we selected. And so can we agree that we will work towards an installation and done date of July 1?
Does it have to go out for bid?
And does it?
Really? I thought it took 3 bids.
No idea whether there needs to be an RFP, whatever the city buying process is. Can we really light a fire under it, Donna, and get it going?
Yes. I think the subcommittee, right, has been working with Trevor. It sounds like you want to go in a different direction than Trevor was researching.
No, we don't. The subcommittee is Paula, David, and me. And I think we want to just get a vendor, which is what we've been talking about. And
so would you like Trevor's update?
Yes, please.
Okay. So basically he has attempted to contact Mr. Pachetti and another local finished concrete designer with no success. He's currently in the process of gathering quotes from other outside sources. He's hoping to find 3 quotes, which is the city's requirement, so that we have options to choose from as well. He will update everybody probably by your next meeting. He is currently in the process of talking with maintenance, and I know it's not our maintenance, it may be the one at Stanford. And it says he's reached out to several vendors and still nobody has responded. So he's having a hard time, and I'm not sure if it's because of COVID or the work that's out there right now. So so that's what he's said so far, but he'll have an update by next week, he said.
Okay, there is, just to put a frame of reference, there is a concrete shortage apparently right now, which is amazing to me. The Stanford thing was not something that he came up with. That's something that David came up with, who passed it to me, and I passed it to Trevor this afternoon.
Right. Okay.
And so I'm feeling kind of like our subcommittee is doing a lot of work that that staff should be doing. And so I'm hopeful that we can work and support staff where staff needs help, but really get it moving and get it unstuck.
All we can do is the best we can with everything going on. So we will set up another meeting with the subcommittee with Trevor next week.
I don't think it's just the
I don't
concrete
think a meeting is going to help.
shortage is the issue. And I'd be glad to talk directly with Trevor if you would like to give me a call or something, or do a Zoom, whatever.
We just want to make sure there's, good communication. So yeah, I'll contact Trevor and have him connect with you, Commissioner Horn.
Right.
Okay.
Donna, if we can't find, we as an entity or the collective, we cannot find 3 bids, if only 1 bid occurs, is that okay? Do we go with that bid then? Oh, Donna, you hit the mute.
We have to show good faith effort that we've tried to get 3 estimates.
Okay.
Can we get that process moving? Because if it does take a month's period of time to do an RFP or whatever.
As I mentioned, we'll do the best we can. Yes.
Great. Okay.
Hey, look, there's a lot of new construction happening around where I live, and I know they use concrete. So there's got to be a way to do this, I think. I think the problem may just be it's a piddly job.
May I ask a clarifying question? At the subcommittee meeting before John left, He talked about prefabricated pedestals. Did he talk to you about those?
We did
Actually-
talk, and that was a route that we went on. Paula did
Ah.
extensive
Yeah, that's
research
my
on
first
that. And
approach.
what we realized was the piece is way too heavy.
Okay. So the engineering of it, yeah, it won't work. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I think here's one way to look at it. I did a quick calculation. If you just have a base like the one that was there, a pedestal like the one that was there before, it would weigh about 3,000 pounds. Okay, if you do it with something that you can pick up and move around, a hollow base that you buy, there's going to be a theft issue.
Yeah, I
don't think
gotcha.
I don't think it's a good idea. And if you walk through Lincoln Park and look at all the bases, and there are a number of pedestals there, they're all these solid concrete.
Yeah, they
I
are.
think, gosh, there's got to be a way to do it.
Okay, sounds good. All right.
I think also the other thing that we talked about was the fact that there could be a safety issue if
Yes.
it was too lightweight.
Yes.
And that's what we don't want. We don't want the city to be sued.
No. Well, we have standards, and the building inspectors will have to inspect it too to make sure it's
Of
safe.
course. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Okay.
Would it
Thank
be
you so
easier
much.
if we just had Trevor work with David? I mean, at this point, all three of us have put in a lot of work in different directions, and I really don't have anything more to contribute to this. And it's just one more person to be in the email chain and communication. Maybe just Trevor and David work this out, whether it's working with the city maintenance and David's expertise or with a vendor. I certainly don't care how that happens. So I'm happy to just step back if that makes it easier.
Cool. Look, all I can tell you is, from my background and training and experience, I could build this thing.
Right.
But I'm not going to. All right.
Got it.
And
Okay.
I'm fine with that as well. If David, I'm fine just working with you on it, and Trevor.
Okay. I will.
So, yeah.
Okay.
All right. We'll do those as the next steps. Thank you.
All righty. We are at almost 6:30, and the topic that is next, or the next agenda item, is future community. I can't even talk. Future community art projects. We had a couple that we were talking about. Is Hillary still, Commissioner King?
Yeah, I'm here. So, well, we had also talked, or Paula, Jenny, and I are working on a chalk project in support of the Rotary Bears.
Yep.
Do you want to hear an update on that, I guess?
Oh, yeah, great.
That'd be awesome, yeah.
So we don't have any money for chalk, and neither does Rotary. But we have two ideas. So one, I think we're going to do kind of chalk paw prints around town. We had originally thought about, well, we could get the community involved and have chalk and kids, but because there's no funding for chalk, we think that it'll just maybe be the three of us. We'll do it, and that will also kind of make it a little bit more cohesive looking. And William is working on finding out about kind of closing off streets. But I think if it's just going to be three of us, maybe that'll be easier, but I can email you that. And then Jenny has been talking to Sunia. Is that correct pronunciation?
Sunya.
Sunia, do you want to talk about that part of it, Jenny?
Sure. The idea was to find a spot, and maybe it would be during the farmer's market on the sidewalk or someplace on the street, or if they're actually doing a pop-up park where they're closing off a street, perhaps we could do it along the sidewalk there, and have bear silhouettes that she would draw, and then people could fill in the silhouettes any way that they wanted to. So we need to figure out the logistics, and we need to probably buy the chalk.
What a clever idea.
We're going to have to buy it personally, it sounds like. Rotary's not, they're willing to split the cost by asking for personal donations from their people. She said it wasn't in their budget. So it seems like such a piddly thing, you know, $100 is about what we were talking, not much. So either we, you know, all pitch in and split the cost of this. And
I have a suggestion. When is the Rotary's art show? Do we know?
August or October, isn't it?
October, shoot. No, that's not going to work. I was going to say if we did this in conjunction with the Rotary show, but okay.
are you sure it's that late, that it's going to be in October?
I thought it, I was surprised. That,
think it got
Donna,
moved.
do you know when the Rotary Art Show is?
Or
It
is
got
it Art and
moved. Maybe it's Art and Wine. When is Art and Wine?
Penny Lave just said the show is in August.
That's
the
what-
Show?
The Rotary show?
It said, it said the cat show.
She said cat, so I'm not sure what that is.
Penny, could you come off mute? Is it possible? Maybe it's Roy, not
Is
Penny.
it possible? Yeah.
There we go. Hi. When is Rotary Art? Is Art and Wine in October and Rotary Art in August?
Rotary Art is in August, like the middle of August, I think. Do you remember, Roy? About the middle of August.
And then Art and Wine is October?
I don't know Art and Wine. I don't do that anymore.
Okay.
But by the way, you guys,
Mhm.
I think you don't have to buy the chalk. I think Rotary can spring for the chalk, and if they can't, someone will.
Okay.
If we did this bear silhouette thing in somewhere in downtown and it corresponded with the Rotary Art Show, I think that maybe they being the Rotary would be happy to spring for a couple.
Yeah,
pieces of
so
chalk.
yeah, Rotary is Fine Art in the Park, August 14th, 15th, and Fine Art is September 25th weekend. So,
Okay. So I was a little bit late in my guess.
yeah.
That might be nice to try and coordinate with the Lincoln Park
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Rotary Art
That
Show.
tends to be a little bit finer art and doesn't have as much for kids. That's a good.
It's a
That's-
juried,
Yeah.
it's a juried show. And do you remember when we had the table there and we were giving, Paula, what were we doing? We were doing,
The stickers,
It was
the
for the
face
master
sticker.
art plan. We were doing our questionnaire about public art.
right. I'm happy to do, I'm the queen of glitter tattoo. I'm happy to do glitter tattoos, but,
Well, I think it would be really fun to do the bear silhouettes, to have people who, and at that point the bears will all be up and people will have seen all the inspirational bears on First and Main, on State and Main Street. So they'll have lots of ideas about how they might want to do a bear.
And since Rotary came to us, it was two-ish meetings ago and wanted to collaborate. I think this could be a good collaboration between the two groups.
I think it would be great. When is the auction of the bears?
I think it's in
October.
It's October. Okay, so the timing would be really good to generate a lot of excitement for the Rotary event that would be coming up and for the bears to get people to bid a little bit higher on the bears.
Right, because we were thinking with the paw prints, we would do it shortly before they were going to be put on display. So they'd be like little bear prints coming into town, going out of town, whatever different ways to get excitement about that.
And maybe
That's
we
a
could
really
have
great idea.
kind of signage that says the bears are coming.
Right, the bears are coming.
I think that's a great idea. I think that's a really great idea. And it would be really supportive of the Big Bear event for Rotary. So I think it's a great idea. So we would do, the artist would do bear silhouettes and we would have those decorated. And then we would do bear prints, paw prints.
We could do little honey pots, chalk honey pots or something too, or picnic baskets.
Mhm.
All right, Monica, you're coming out then to do those.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I was going to ask the next question is since there's a subcommittee, are we allowed to have people outside of the subcommittee participate in the chalk drawing?
And Donna, that's a question for you.
Can you ask that question again?
So there is a subcommittee working on community art projects, including the idea of putting bear paws in downtown to correspond
Honey
with the
pot,
Rotary
right.
Bear. But if other members of the Public Arts Commission wanted to use chalk and draw, is that violating any Brown Act? Is that?
No.
Okay.
No. You just can't speak, you know, if all of you went to a ribbon cutting or to a social, as long as you don't speak about anything on your business agendas, you're fine.
Okay.
Okay.
We would never, so, you know.
Well, so Roy, if you're listening, count us in. We'll do bear prints and bear silhouettes. And,
Well, the subcommittee will meet again and nail down the date, maybe talk to Carol Dabb and just coordinate, you know, when they want them up. So, and we'll talk to William about streets and stuff like that. So
perfect. Perfect. Anything else on community art? Do we have anything else planned?
yeah, I think the bears are going to be, I think the consensus is the bears are kind of really going to be present really through September, October. So that's gonna then put us close to the holidays. So I mean, we talked about the birdhouses in the fall, but I think we should maybe wait and see once the bears are up and see where we are.
Yeah.
Can I say one more thing about the bears? When we look at the donation potential, the big bear that Paula was talking about, the grizzly, that one, I think we're thinking that we would like Rotary to donate because it won't have been purchased by anybody. The other idea is that Carol Dabb was telling me about is that private individuals who buy bears at the auction may also want to donate to the city. And that's hoping that we'll get a couple of bears donated by other individuals. So that would be a different thing. And that actually brings money to Rotary because those will be purchased. The donation by Rotary would not be, Rotary owns all the bears at this point in time. So if that big grizzly, which might sell for a lot of money, is donated by Rotary, Rotary doesn't make any money to use for the projects that they're hoping to fund with all of these bears. So I think that's the dilemma for withdrawing that bear
That's a
auction.
good backdrop. Thank you, Jenny. Okay, other community art projects. This is generally the time when we kind of brainstorm what else we have going. I know we think the bears would be one facet, but do we have anything else that anyone is thinking of? Our haiku writing class didn't do real well. Did you ever have anyone, Hillary, that contacted you about it?
Nope.
That's too bad.
We might want to look at some kind of community art project that corresponds with the opening of the community center.
Great idea. Great idea.
Can we talk about that at one of our last meetings about maybe doing that big paint by number project that we were going to do at that, what was the name of that project?
Oh, the Night of Ideas, the Night of Ideas.
Night of Ideas, yeah. And we were all set to go on that project. So maybe we could revisit that.
Is the Night of Ideas going to happen though? Because I don't want to step on the toes of the planners for the Night of Ideas.
I don't think I mean,
Think about it.
it was our idea anyway, so.
Right, it was totally.
We can take it wherever we want, yeah.
Can I ask city staff, are there any plans for an opening ceremony for the community center?
Yes, we're working with the mayor and we're looking at dates either at the very end of September or first weekend in October. So we should be refining that very soon. So we're in the process. We have a team of staff members working with the mayor on that. So we will have that information by your next meeting.
Okay, I was going to ask, once you know that, then we can start trying to see if we can come up with something.
I think that's a great idea.
Maybe we pay a stipend to Linda to talk about her murals, or we have some community art project or something.
Actually, that would be really great. And you know, if we took one of her overviews of the mural and recorded it, we might be able to kind of get a twofer.
Well, also remember that she, part of her presentation was the creek stories, and it does talk about the creek. We could do creek or orchard stories, you know, for people who lived here when there were more orchards, or creek stories, which is a, you know, super low cost way of, you know, having people write down their stories. She used the paper, you could use luggage tags or something. So
Yep.
that's a nice low cost way, and then hang them for a bit, maybe in the community center or somewhere.
Yeah,
But
maybe we could make that maybe our first community call for art, or just one spot where we hang it.
A tree outside.
yeah,
Great idea.
As long as it doesn't get water, because we're hopefully at that point entering rainy season if we ever see rain again.
If we ever do. Yeah. Okay, so anything further on community art?
Let's just make sure it's on the agenda, as it always is, for the next meeting.
Yeah, I've asked that. I know how everyone feels about community art, and so it's going to be on our agenda every meeting. Okay, our last topic, and unfortunately, we do have time to talk about it. We had talked at one point about the formation of a community arts council, and how we wanted to structure what we wanted to do to kind of make it work, where we got all the community art groups in Los Altos together just to kind of compare notes. And maybe collaborations come of it, maybe not. Maybe it's just informational sessions. But I got really interested and did a little bit more research on it. And I think if you all agree, it's something that we had on our budget, and it would be something to start the structure of it. And so I am happy to, as I said, I've done a little bit of work on it, but I would be happy to develop a subcommittee that could work on this. And Hillary, I know that you've had a lot of experience, and I think that, Monica, could I enlist your help as the subcommittee?
I would love to help with something like this.
absolutely.
Okay. All right. I will schedule a meeting, and we can come up with something to present at a future meeting of the commission, and see if the other commissioners are all interested in moving forward with it.
That sounds good. Mhm.
Okay.
Yep.
So informational items. Are there any reports on other projects from commissioners? City staff, so that you know, you probably guessed, we are a working commission. We all own projects, and this is a time on the agenda where we talk about review projects that maybe weren't on the agenda, but we can get a commissioner to report on them. So commissioners, are there any reports on any different projects that you are chairing or that you would like to discuss?
Not at this time.
Don't all jump at once.
Oh, well, I'd love to have a suggestion for a next article on a art piece. I don't know if you saw the last one, which was the Dancing Man, Town Crier. So I'm ready to put another one in. Does anyone have a suggestion of what the next one should be?
I would love to see the piece in Shout Park, the big old sculpture of, because I know they're doing some re-signing. Have you already done that one, Jenny?
No, are you talking about the
soldier?
The soldier. Okay, well, I could certainly do that. The other idea was to do something about the one that we're going to be acquiring that's going to go at the community center. I don't know if we have enough information on that one.
My personal thought is we should probably wait till the community center is about to open and then do a blitz on all the pieces.
But
okay, I've already done 2 of them. So, you know, the rest of the blitz would be the murals inside, I think, and the new piece that's going to go outside.
Yeah.
You know what would be really great, though, is to have, if we could do something on the Shout Park sculpture, which is kind of a little, no one visits it although I know it's getting new signage and it had a little bit of information in the crier on it. It would be great to do that around the 4th of July issue of the crier.
Okay.
Just,
We have a lot of veterans in town, so.
but they, I
Okay.
mean, I would
That's
just,
a good idea.
Sorry, go ahead, Paula.
you might want to check on that because they did a bunch of stuff on that piece at 4th of July when it was like the 20th anniversary maybe of the piece, because the artist was back in town and they were trying to figure out who had posed for the sculpture and everything. I just if you can check the town crier to see if enough time has gone by that it doesn't feel somewhat repetitive.
Good
Okay.
idea. Thanks.
Has anything been done on the Olympic wannabes?
I don't know. I don't think so. I don't remember.
2000, I think it was it's probably going 2000 like it was yesterday. I think it was 2000, 2010. It's been a while, but that would be another really good one for around Independence Day.
Because the Olympics are coming this summer, correct?
True.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that
Yeah.
might be a good one to do for June since the Olympics are coming. Yeah.
Did they get canceled? I thought they were or they did what happened?
No, the Japanese say they're gonna,
They're having a,
on shots.
And Glenna Goodacre, if she's still around, is really interesting, and she's a very interesting artist. So that would be fun. And that was donated by a group in Los Altos, and many of those folks still live in Los Altos. So another interesting one. So does that give you a little bit of guidance, Jenny?
that's great.
Good. Thank you very much, and appreciate your doing that. All right.
I have to pop off actually, so I'm gonna head out.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
late for a class too.
Okay. Oh,
Meeting.
gosh, thanks. Okay. So if there are no other topics to talk about, then I will adjourn the meeting.
All right, see everyone in 2 weeks.
Thank
Yes.
you. Bye-bye.
Bye.